Very good morning. If you've just tuned in, where have you been? You are live with Expresso, and we're about to delve into my absolute favorite segment, the final frontier. Let's hope it's not the final frontier, but just one frontier that we're going to break through, and we're going to do it with our brains trust, Dr. Daniel Colonise. So recently, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, spoke at length about the future of humanity, and he claimed that Earth will inevitably run out of resources and that we have no choice but to colonize the solar system. How realistic is that? Well, we know that it's realistic because we are planning, we talk about these things, we talk about colonizing the moon, Mars further, but how much of a reality is it now? Dr. Dan, welcome back. This is going to polarize people because it kind of feels like it's a future that we're not quite there yet, but we're experiencing massive depletion now of the oceans, natural resources. What are going to be the reasons? Will we run out of things on Earth and move, or do you think we'll find solutions and want to explore because we're explorers? What do you think is going to drive us?
I think there's two things. Like, firstly, Jeff Bezos is a good salesman. So, I mean, he puts together a good sales pitch for this. But I don't fully believe him that we're going to run out of resources here. I mean, we get a lot of energy from the sun and solar power, and if we do manage things a little bit better, we can probably get by. However, humans are, brave and adventurous, and we probably are going to go to space. How we do that, what we colonize, where we live, and I mean, he's proposing living in these, cylindrical shells.
Like these domes. Is this a future that you could see?
I don't know if we'll see it in my lifetime. But yeah, I mean, definitely, like, rather than sort of going all the way to Mars or finding another planet around another star, which is very, very far away, these sort of O'Neill cylinders or capsules have been...
O'Neill after who?
After the guy who invented it back in the 50s.
It looks like the 50s, 60s
vibe.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's this concept of a rotating thing, like we saw in Interstellar.
Gravity, yeah.
So it's got a simulated gravity, and then they create a sort of real sort of Earth-style landscape where you can live. There's rivers, there's water, and then that we can put anywhere. We can put it up in space, and we don't have to be reliant.
We can just float aimlessly through space forever, if you wanted it. Well, I suppose if we're still sucking the last few resources off the planet, we'll stay close enough just to be able to do that. I mean, could you build something like this? Is this something that, as a scientist, is like, okay, we could do that?
It's a little bit science fiction-y. I mean, it's obviously in 50 years, who knows? The physics is kind of sound. We could do it. It's not going to be easy. It's huge. Getting that thing into space is unbelievable. You're going to have to build it up in space.
Just build it out of the space debris that is currently cloaking the planet.
Yeah, so it's like there are major challenges involved, for sure.
Okay, well, we're going to chat a bit further about where we would most likely colonize if we were to leave planet. I'm going to put it out on social media now. Would you live off planet? What are you going to do when your child comes to you and says, yeah, I want to go off planet, Dad. I want a holiday on Mars. Is that future something that you can envision? I think it's a little sooner than we think, but you can let us know on all of our social media platforms.
Oh, you can make my day. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're live with Expresso. My name is Graham Richard, sat beside outreach astronomer Dr. Daniel Colonise. We are chatting about going off planet. We spoke about, obviously, in light of what George Bezos has been speaking about in terms of us creating these colonies just off planet or wherever they would float around these cylindrical kind of vibes. But the reality is we'd probably be looking, and are, in fact, looking at colonizing Mars to an extent, or do we just want to get people there? Where would we most likely, from a scientist's perspective, be looking to colonize if we needed to leave planet? Or want to, but we do.
I like that term, off-planet.
Off-planet, yeah, man. It's going to take hold.
Yeah, Mars is obviously the prime example. So we know there's water on Mars. There's a very thin atmosphere, but the gravity is similar to Earth. It's relatively nearby, so we can send supplies. So Mars is a sort of prime example. Whether we move en masse or whether we have a sort of small colony with like 10 people, 100 people, something like we have in Antarctica, like a kind of a base where people like come and go. At the moment, certainly I don't see a large population moving to Mars.
Would it be more likely, we look at like Titan, we're looking at planets that kind of fit the planet mold where life could have or could still exist, looking for that kind of that green zone as they call it. Is there a likelihood that we are looking for those kind of things? Is that the main vibe here? Or are we more likely to see, for instance, maybe the moon get colonized as a base camp for the next stage of exploration? How important or how much focus is there on looking for that other planet where we could create life or find life?
So there's a lot of work going into finding exoplanets, so planets around other stars. But
what's the closest that we've encountered?
So there's planets around our nearest star, Proxima Centauri. But Proxima Centauri is like big and has big so there's nothing on it. but so we're looking at these exoplanets and we're looking for life. So we're looking for traces of life in the atmospheres and things like that. That's more from a curiosity, like how does life evolve? Are we alone? That sort of
exploration.
Thing. Getting to those planets, I mean, even if we find one which is like Earth and a great place to live, I mean, the nearest star is 4 light years away, which at the current mode of travel is going to take hundreds of thousands of years to get there. So realistically, the Moon and Mars will be colonized and occupied long before we get around another.
Buddy, I'm going to ask
star.
you a completely stupid question now, and stupid like a Graham question. What do you think is the most important job? What will that be on one of these off-planet colonies, do you think? Janitor, maybe. the Wi-Fi guy.
Food. I mean, like food and water. Like
farmer.
Yeah, the farmer. Like, I mean, to getting supplies, like food and water, we need, right? So, like, constantly, and trying to keep those sort of systems and
the scientists.
And air.
Say the scientists.
It's always the scientists.
You guys are so necessary. It might be a little bit scary, but it's there nonetheless. This is the incredible future that lies ahead of us. Would you live off planet? What job would you like to have if you were colonizing on Mars? You could ponder that as we ponder some of the big movies happening at the moment.